Thank God it's Friday, right, everyone? Welcome to Clown Planet Daily Update, 5th of September, 2025, just a little bit after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the good old US of A. Welcome to Friday Dump Day. And let's get right to it. How about that? Alert, and you probably haven't seen this. In Spain, in 1 month, more than 7 churches and chapels have been vandalized or desecrated in different regions of the country, and in some cases, worshipers have been attacked. I know that's not being mentioned in mainstream media over here, but if you want, again, everything's underneath in the show notes. Check it out. There's the link for everything right here. Is on August 11th, August 12th, 13th, 14th, 17th, and 24th. And it gives a little bit of description on what happened in each one of those areas. Again, everything we're already talking about is underneath in the show notes, chronological order. Obviously, that's number one. Melania, I can't wait to do pre-crime Trump on AI in education. Quotes, the robots are here. Doesn't that make you feel all warm and fuzzy? Sitting right next to Linda McMahon of WWE fame. Teaching students AI literacy from an early age is key to American success, says First Lady Melania Trump at the White House event on Thursday with cabinet secretaries and tech CEOs, because you're going to have tech CEOs. You can't read the rest of it. I can't either. It says the White House sees AI in K through 12 education as a key part of ensuring American competitiveness in the field. Bring on Skynet, baby. In fun news, here's Derek Bros. Watching people say keep your friends close and your enemies closer is hilarious and sad. People have no critical thinking skills, even when something's staring them in the face. No, they just don't want to believe it. President, once and future King, President DJT, hosts tech leaders for a dinner at the White House. Guests include Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, who's literally sitting to his right, Apple CEO Tim Cook, Microsoft co-founder Billy Gates, and OpenAI CEO Sam Altman of, if you don't remember, Stargate fame on day one. Remember day one of the Trump presidency, Stargate. And if you don't believe that's Billy Gates, there's Bill right there, right next to Melania. Bill Gates meeting with Trump discussing gene editing and vaccines. Well, isn't that great? Wasn't he supposed to be arrested? And again, nobody ever gets arrested, maybe us. And no one goes to jail, maybe us. And it's all one big team, and we're not in it. And it's kind of funny seeing all the talking heads, all the cheerleaders get bent all over themselves right now as a pretzel. You look at Steve Bannon; he's losing his mind right now. He keeps he says something about I don't trust anybody around him right now. Who do you? If he's the buck stops here guy, wouldn't that be the guy who has circled himself around with the people that you don't trust? Ergo, you might not be wanting to trust him, but they can't say that because that's their cash cow for the next, well, at least 3 years, which, again, if you watch Clown Planet, not Clown Planet, News from the Pew last night, and Rick and I talked about it, I think he'll be done in 2 years or a year and a half from now, and then JD's got the next 10. Hey, man, how you doing? Appreciate you coming on. And Palmer, truth does come out indeed. Sharia law, U.S. Police Department introduces Arabic patch. The police department in Michigan has introduced a uniform patch that has Arabic writing on it, prompting fierce backlash. Dearborn Heights PD is believed to be the first in the country to have a patch with the language other than English. And, everyone, again, like I said, everyone makes you focus on this. They ain't talking about, you're not going to see Colin talking about Bill Gates in the luncheon. We're focused on the patch. And guess I guarantee Colin doesn't live in Dearborn Heights. I don't live in Dearborn Heights. You know what? I don't care. I don't care what Dearborn Heights does. Call me crazy. I don't live anywhere near Dearborn Heights. I will never even step foot in Dearborn Heights. Probably never step foot in Michigan. I mean, just saying. Now, if you're in Michigan, maybe it's a little closer to you. You have a little care. If you're in Dearborn Heights, maybe you care even more. You should. But outside of that, I don't really care. Because these guys, Dearborn Heights Police Chief Ahmad Hadar created an official police department patch for officers to wear with Arabic writing on it. Again, that's Islamification of Michigan. I don't think all of Michigan's like that. Everyone knows this about Dearborn for how long now? I mean, it's been that way for 10 years, maybe more. But okay, you're upset about Dearborn. If you're living Dearborn, go fix Dearborn. Oh, what tell you? I being in North Carolina, I do not care what's going on in Dearborn, Michigan. But I'm just showing it as a sense. Here's the news going on right here. Hey, why Steve even put it off? He doesn't care about it. Just explaining the situation. Don't get worked up over places that aren't even near you. Even the NRA is against Trump team plan to ban trans people from owning firearms. Second Amendment groups fire back at Justice Department over potential proposals to block trans people from possessing guns. And that's exactly right, because it says Congress shall not. And that means Congress shall not. There's no asterisk. Congress shall not. Again, if you're part of the 14th Amendment guru, the 14th Amendment Constitution, which was never ratified correctly anyway, it was invalid in the sense. How you go into that? Look up Tom Woods. And there's a couple other ones. I know the South was right, has a couple articles in that. Let's look at it this way. The North did not look at the South as being states anymore. So they wouldn't let them ratify, but they forced them to ratify it to become states. So they weren't states to begin, but they wanted to force state privileges on groups that they didn't think were states. Now, if they come in, and because they were at the time, they're in Reconstruction, the military invasion of the South, the country in the South, which was illegal if they were states. So they don't believe they're states. They don't call them states. They don't treat them like states, but they wanted them to take the state's benefits, which is the amendments. And then because if the states didn't do it, they were going to force them, literally read it up, look up on it. They were going to force them to accept it, whether or not they liked it or not. And if anybody has any kind of law background, if you're forced into a marriage, it doesn't really work that way. It's kind of null and void. Same idea. Same thing happened with the 14th. So if you're in the 14th, then you think that the Bill of Rights goes from here to the kingdom of the ice world of Hoth, around the Stargate, back down around here, around the sun, to the moon, etc. Wrong. Congress shall not. It's what the federal government cannot do to the states. A state can do whatever it wants. And that's the problem with the NRA. They are big time incorporationistas. But on this, they are right. The Second Amendment does not have anything to do with this. Congress shall not means DC and the federal government cannot say anything about this. Now, like the state of Minnesota wants to block it, totally fine. State of South Carolina wants to block it, totally fine. As long as it doesn't, go against the South Carolina Constitution, Michigan Constitution, whatever. The Fed thought it was seeing a solid jobs market. Turns out that was just an illusion. Evidence of significant labor market slowing continues to mount. It's going to go down, down, down. Big Nelly, down, down, down. U.S. Considers banning Iranian diplomats from shopping at Costco during UN meeting. That'll do it. I'll tell them right there. It's like, what do we think we should do over there with these Iranians? Just don't let them go to Costco. You got the full-on hot dogs. They might get lunch for $1.50 over there. Johnson, brilliant. Okay, they're not allowed to go to Costco. A wildly popular 15-year-old computer whiz is becoming the Catholic Church's first millennial saint, and everyone. It's very controversial, obviously, in our circle about Carlo Acutis. I know next to nothing about Carlo. Everyone, their brother, you either get triggered or you incredibly love it. It's one of the two. I fall in the middle. I don't know. I'm not drawn. I don't know much about him. Don't care. I mean, great. I care as long as somebody's, he's in heaven. Great. Fantastic. If we're upset about that, well, we just got bigger issues about that. But I understand what some of the guys are saying and the weird photos of them in jeans and things like that. Just forget about it. We got to get it worked up all over ourselves about stuff like this. I saw someone get upset about Pierre Giorgio saying that he was like the first Antifa guy. Dude, I like Giorgio. But anyways, there's in recent years, Acutis has shot near rock star like fame among many young Catholics, generating a global following, the likes in which the Catholic Church hasn't seen in ages. Well, if the church says he's in heaven, they say the church followed the saints, Alphonsus, Francis, de Sales, and others say it's an infallible statement. So forget about it. If the church says it is, it is. Move on. LGBTQ pilgrimage to Rome could test Pope Leo on gay Catholics. They paused at the brook 3 hours from their 80-mile trek to Rome, but now it's time to move. And the Amo shouted a 30-year historian from Bologna, donning a gold crucifix. When not on Catholic pilgrimages, he does nightclub drag and faithfully attends mass. Okie dokie. Nearby, a transitioning trans woman from Belgium, searching for the courage to come out at her parish, lumbered to her feet a few steps away. A Neapolitan math teacher who seeks God daily and hates the hookup pressure on gay dating sites stood and lifted a wooden rainbow cross. What the heck? Stay away from this pilgrimage. You joke saying the pilgrimage from hell? Yeah, but pray for pray for them. Each one gets an Ave. How Stephen Miller is running Trump's effort to take over D.C. This guy's a piece of work. And again, when we say prayers, don't forget to say Hail Mary for Trump, your governor, your representatives, and the House of Representatives, the Senate, and obviously your state and local reps. Say one for this guy. This guy he just wants war and he's not a good dude. From the head of the conference table at the White House's Roosevelt room, Stephen Miller was in the weeds of once and future King President DJT's takeover of policing in the nation's capital. The White House Deputy Chief of Staff wanted to know where exactly groups of law enforcement officers would be deployed. He declared that cleaning up D.C. was one of Trump's most important domestic policy issues, and that Miller himself planned to be involved for a very long time. That should make you feel warm and fuzzy. Lawmakers demand answers on ICE facial recognition app as oversight fight intensifies. Democrats on the House Committee on Homeland Security have demanded that the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, turn over legal and the technical details about ICE mobile Fortify smartphone app, escalating congressional scrutiny of the agency's street-level use of facial rec. The demand comes on the heels of the revelation that the Customs and Border Protection, CBP, officer was filmed wearing Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses during an LA immigration enforcement action in June, raising the question of whether consumer AI eyewear is creeping into federal policing and DHS biometric ID pipelines. Remember, we talked about how some of these guys, the ICE guys, have this tech from Israel. And they're going to be using it, just like the stuff like Gideon and the other ones we talked about, the surveillance pre-crime stuff. They're all Israeli tested. Hundreds arrested in immigration raid at Hyundai site in Georgia. South Korea protests and more than 300 Korean company workers are detained. Because, that's where the MS-13 guys are. We got to get the worst of the worst. Those darn workers at Hyundai, they're keeping you up at night. You know that, right? Especially your Honda guy. California passes bill to require schools to notify parents of ICE operations. Because even here in North Carolina, they've been using the kids to fish out their parents at school. I mean, it's getting a little out of hand. He was an FBI informant. Mike Johnson, makes stunning admission about Trump. House Speaker Mike Johnson of Louisiana appeared to say that once and future King President DJT once doubled as a confidential informant for the FBI before he ran for office. Isn't that something? I've talked to him many times about this. It's been misrepresented. He's not saying, he's talking about the Epstein thing. He's not saying what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible and unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he heard the rumor he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, he was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. I just don't believe that. Call me skeptical. I'm just not taking Johnson's word for that. He's a little snake in the grass, anyways. And now we're just now hearing that one. Come on. DOJ deputy chief admits government will redact every Republican while leaving all the liberal Democrat people on the Epstein client list. Says Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to a lower security prison as a benefit to keep her mouth shut. Already talked about this just now. Go ahead and get rid of that one. There's the Wall Street Journal again. RFKJ HHS to link autism to Tylenol use in pregnancy and folate deficiencies. Kennedy's autism report touted by DJT will suggest that using the pain reliever during pregnancy might be linked to a developmental disorder. A lot of people already knew about that. Most don't, but then the people that will hear it for the first time are going to reject it, just like you see the people right now that, when they go out and tell everyone that the COVID jab was bad, and you got these crazy ladies out there just doing it, like sticking it to the man. Okay, cuckoo. And by the way, there's plenty of natural ideas that work like Tylenol that you don't have to worry about killing your liver with. 102-year-old becomes oldest person to climb Mount Fuji. Kukichi Akuzawa is recognized by Guinness Book of World Records for reaching Japan's tallest peak in July. Good for him, and guarantee if you paid me $1 million, I probably would never even try to do this. I'm fine with my happy butt down here on, closer to sea level. Orson Welles' lost movie will use AI to reconstruct missing 43 minutes. Amazon backed firm showrunner led by Edward Shatke is using the film as a test case for how Hollywood can overhaul production. The results won't be commercialized. The tech giant hasn't obtained rights from Warner Brothers or Concord. So this is a step for AI movies in the future. So get ready for your favorite actor to become fry flippers at McDonald's until the robots take those out, and I don't know what they're going to do after that. Panic spreads as Maine residents are infected with world's deadliest disease. What is going on in Maine? Fears are being raised in Maine after 3 people in the state tested positive for the world's deadliest disease. The patients were diagnosed with active tuberculosis, and there were no connection between them, suggesting each was affected by a different source. They are in the greater Portland area, officials said, and work is now underway to identify and isolate their close contacts. The Pentagon warns Venezuela after claiming 2 military aircraft flew by a Navy vessel. Remember, we, as the United States, we can fly anything, anywhere, shoot anything, anywhere. But the moment you come back and just do that, off with your head. No soup for you. Come back next year. Where we got more on this? Caribbean war fears grow as Venezuelan fighter jets fly over U.S. warship in show of force. Tensions between the two countries have skyrocketed after once a future king, President DJT, accused Venezuelan President Maduro of running one of the country's most notorious cartels. Again, it's a cartel, DC, saying the other group's a cartel. You know what they really want? The oil. Venezuela has some oil, and we need to liberate that oil and freedom bombs to take the oil from them. Pentagram official, Trump boat strike was a criminal attack on civilians. Hey, good that somebody came out and said something outside of Ron Paul and others. A current DOD official and many military legal experts say the U.S. attack on a boat in the Caribbean near Venezuela broke international law. Good on them for speaking the truth. You see all these cheerleaders out there talking about like Vance. You saw Vance and all these Sutter and all these Gunther. They're like, yeah, we voted for this. Bomb them all. Kill them all. Even J.D. Vance was asked about it. And he goes, but someone asked by what authority? And Vance flippantly goes, what do you mean by what authority? They're terrorists. Bro, can't commit war crimes. Lethal strike on a boat in the Caribbean on Tuesday was a criminal attack on civilians, according to a high-ranking Pentagram. I always say Pentagram, so forgive me, Pentagon official who spoke to The Intercept on the condition of anonymity. The Trump administration paved the way for the attack, he said, by firing the top legal authorities of the Army and the Air Force earlier this year. The U.S. is now directly targeting civilians, Drug traffickers may be criminals, but they aren't combatants. Exactly. The DOD officials said when Trump fired the military top lawyers, the rest saw the writing on the wall, and instead of being a critical firebreak, they are now a rubber stamp complicit in this crime. Remember that the story is also that they, was it Hesek said that they, no, it was Rubio said they could have they could have stopped the boat without firing on it, but it was Trump that wanted to blow it up. Trump claimed the attack was aimed at against positively identified Trende Awagra narco-terrorist in the Truth Social Post. He continued, TDA is a designated foreign terrorist organization operating under the control of Nicolas Maduro, responsible for mass murder, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, and acts of violence and terror across the United States and Western civilization. Unlike how we do it, when we do the same darn thing or protect the Epstein cases, and we have genocide going on in our name. Trump accompanied the post with a video of the 4-engine speedboat, blah, 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 blah. Where is this? Hesek, every boatload of any form of drug that poisons American people is an imminent threat, and the DOD, at the DOD, our job is to defeat imminent threats. Experts say Hesek's rationale is flimsy, if not farcical. Trende Awagra, being designated as a foreign terrorist organization, is a purely domestic law enforcement designation. It offers no authority for the military to use deadly force, says Todd Huntley, who is an active duty judge advocate for more than 23 years, serving as a legal advisor to special ops forces engaged in counterterrorism missions around the world. Under international law, there is no way this even gets close to being a legitimate use of force. Remember, I said that the other day. It's international waters. You have no idea. You can't use these rules for international waters. Hesek said it won't stop with just the attack. Venezuelan Minister of Interior, Justice, and Peace called the Tuesday attack, quote, an illegal massacre in international waters, and said the U.S. had violated international law. They did. Also known as a group for terrorism, does not. We knew exactly what was in the boat. Anyway, if you want to keep reading, that's more in it. It's underneath in the show notes, but good on them. U.S. deploying 10 fighter jets to Puerto Rico for drug cartel flight sources. Apparently, we're invading everywhere in the Caribbean now. The U.S. has ordered deployment of 10 F-35 fighter jets to a Puerto Rico airfield to conduct operations against drug cartels. Two sources briefed on the matter said, in a move likely to further inflame tensions in the region. Hopefully, Puerto Rico can secede from the United States immediately so that they have to remove their jets from Puerto Rico. Fox's Jennifer Griffin on Trump's military moves, quote, looks to me like the U.S. military is going to war. Wait a second, I thought this was the peace president. I was told this was the Nobel Peace President. I mean, what was it? Who was it? Even RFK Jr, who's pretty much jettisoned his backbone, has said that Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. Fox News chief national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin made an ominous observation Friday about the deployment of several jets and U.S. Navy vessels to Puerto Rico and the Caribbean Sea. Griffin posted the news on Friday midday, writing, the Pentagon is deploying 10 F-35 stealth fighter jets to Puerto Rico for counter narcotics tasking in the Caribbean. A source familiar confirms to Fox News per Lucas Tomlinson. Griffin will be looking for a job later on. How a top secret SEAL Team 6 mission into North Korea fell apart. The 2019 operation, greenlit by Once a Future King, President DJT 1.0, sought a strategic edge. It left unarmed North Koreans dead. You guys want to look to read this through it, check it out. Again, Peace Prize. Here's a War Pigs edition, antiwar.com. Trump, we've lost India and Russia to China. Mediator says he gave U.S. proposal to Hamas. Pope Leo hosts Israeli president, urges permanent ceasefire. Palestinian NGOs sanctioned by U.S. decry move as heinous act. Gaza aid whistleblower arrested for interrupting Senate hearing. IDF claims it controls 40% of Gaza City. Starvation kills 87 more Palestinians in Gaza. What else? Israel DM threatens biblical plagues on Yemen. 5 killed, 17 wounded in Israeli attacks on southern Lebanon. Hezeg won't roll out Venezuela regime change. Drink regime change. That's our national pastime. Senator Rand Paul criticizes bombing a boat near Venezuela. Good on Rand. U.S. adds 2 Ecuadorian gangs to the list of narco-terrorist groups. We're going to just, anybody watching might be added to the narco-terrorist groups just because. 26 countries backed reassurance force in Ukraine. Don't worry, it gets worse. Keep reading if you want. Israeli tells Hamas, lay down arms, free all hostages, or Gaza City gets leveled. Guess what's going to happen? Gaza City is going to get leveled no matter what. And it's going to become a smart city with Trump Towers right in the middle. U.S. military arrested two of his servicemen protesting the U.S. backing of Israeli genocide of Gaza. They're yelling, rise up America, it's time to take back this country from these corrupt politicians. What you need to do is a divorce from D.C. I fully support divorce from D.C. It's the only divorce allowed. The world is witnessing something historic right now. Over 50 boats carrying activists from 44 countries are sailing to Gaza in the largest civilian flotilla ever, the Global Samud Flotilla. Their mission to break Israel's criminal blockade and deliver food, medicine, and aid to starving civilians. Godspeed, because they might get blown up by Israel, and the people of those countries, the people of those countries or wherever they are they'll back them up. If they're from the United States, they're not going to. What person? One of Russia's largest oil refineries once again on fire after Ukraine drone strike. And to finish it up, there's a growing amount of interest on this route. Putin on Trans-Arctic Corridor. We want to think bigger. And remember, a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that Russia, and that's probably why they're going after, the U.S. is going after Greenland. They're thinking that the poles are going to shift and the Arctic area is going to, that area that they're putting this through is going to thaw off and they're going to have prime real estate. So that's, if you wonder, why are they going through the Arctic? Why are we going for Greenland? They think it's going to be the Caribbean in a couple years, I think. Anyways, God love you. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you for watching. Where's the buttons at? Click like, subscribe. There it is. Click like, subscribe, hit the comments. I'll put more of the description in later when it allows me to. I have to wait for the transcript to come up. Always have a great rest of the week. Have a great weekend. Check out sonsofidelium.tv. I'm uploading stuff right as we speak for this week's videos, because whenever I put up on YouTube, it's usually about 3 to 4 weeks down the road. Whatever on the app, I'm putting it up right immediately. Also, Charles Colomb interview on Empress Zeta tonight. I just did that this morning with him. Check it out. Anyway, God love you. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you, and take care.